Hold on one
Can we
second.
have mayor again?
Yes, I thought that's what we're doing. Upstairs, because hello, you there? Let me just find myself a spot. I've done this before. There's too much noise. I'm sitting on the floor in my bedroom. If anybody really wants to know. Things we do. The things we do. I don't need everybody to see my stomach. How are we doing this? Not working either. Sorry for this.
Well, at least this way you won't have enough Tully with you.
That's true. Don't worry, he's here. And I said, no, it's too loud.
What
Okay.
you would say Naftali wouldn't go up to his bedroom with him?
Oh, yeah.
I was trying to say it in a nice way, yeah.
What's the Gemara? Tzvi Yaakov was going to look under his bed one day. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
He's going to look into behind the basic kise. I'm telling you.
That's funny. Yeah. Okay, so I'm sorry for the delay. So Chazer from yesterday. What was that? Lamites was yesterday, right? It was a long one. All the different types of mortar, and how you have to prepare the mortar, and they combine to make a kizayis, and then also the stalks are allowed. And mortar can come from demai. That was the Mishna. And then we went through all the different types of mortars, and then 2 reasons why we eat mortar. That's the main thing to remember from the daf. Either because the mortar gets starts off soft and then gets hard, which is what happened in Mitzrayim. Or what was the other reason? Does anybody even remember the other reason? Chasa, right? Because Hashem had Rahmanas on us. Right? Those are the 2 reasons. Neither one of which is mortar. Neither one has to do with any sort of mortar. And then on Amud Beis, and then we said talk about klayim, and can the stalks be wet? And Machlokes of withered leaves. You can use withered leaves for mortar, and then using Ma'aseh Sheni. All right, then the next Mishnah was no, you can't soak chametz, but making it scalded with hot water is allowed, which we said is no longer applicable nowadays because we don't know how to do it. And women shouldn't soak chametz to use as like a soap, and no chewing chametz and putting it on a cut. Yeah, and then the Gemara says once matzah is baked, then it could be cooked, and water that constantly drips on flour can't become chametz. And then we said this vasika is not allowed, and then you're not allowed to thicken a pot because it becomes chametz. So that's that. We're up to. We are up to the bottom. Amr Rav Yosef. Yeah, 5 words from the end of the daf on Lamed Tesam base. So Amr Rav Yosef, loy lichloit inish, right? A person shouldn't put the chametz into hot water. Trei chiti b'hadar adadi. Right, but he shouldn't put 2 wheats together. Dilma ozlachada v'yasva b'tzire the chaversa, because maybe one kernel of wheat will go sit in a piece of the other one. V'loisalik lahu tikula demaya me'arba ruchasa, and then the water is not going to get into all 4 sides of it. For asilidei chimetz, then it's going to come to chametz. Right, Abaya, that's meaning we're afraid that it's going to get blocked, right? Which is sort of the same thing when you kasha kalim. Why can't you have stickers on the kalim? Why can't you have rust and whatever it is? Because it's going to block the hot water from penetrating and kashering the kalim, right? Fine.
You don't say Maim Koidman here?
What do you mean Maim Koidman?
Well, he put 2 pieces of wheat. They didn't go in touching each other.
No, but we're afraid that one wheat is going to be wedged into the other one. The water is never going to penetrate it.
That would only occur if he put them in wedged in. But if he put them in as separate pieces, why don't we say Maim Kaidman?
I don't know because Maybe Taka talking about where you put it straight together at the same time, right?
The chiddush in the Gemara. That means mamish bahadi adadi. The 2 pieces of wheat, you can do it for sure.
Right.
Drop them in separately.
I hear that. I hear. Okay, let's see. A person shouldn't heat up. Well, singe really. You shouldn't singe 2 pieces together. Because what happens is when you heat these things up, so it's fresh. So there's liquid, there's moisture inside. So the moisture comes out because maybe water is going to go out from this one, upala idach, and go into the other one. It's going to come to chametz. Right? So Amar le Rava ihachi afilu chadanami. Right? So then if that's the case, then even one thing of one stalk, right? Maybe it's going to go out from this and it's going to go into the other one. So Amarova may Paris no, that's not an issue because it's may Paris. And like we said, may Paris and a machmitzin, meaning the liquid that's coming out of the wheat is liquid from fruit, right? And that can't make chametz. If that's the case, then and then Abaya changed his mind, right? But for a different reason. Anything that's moving, right? Then it can't make chametz. So since this liquid, when it's coming out of the wheat, is constantly moving as it's dripping out, so therefore it cannot make the wheat into chametz.
What would Abaya hold in the first case?
You mean he should be chayzer from that, right?
Or he wouldn't hold that that's true. We wouldn't be chayshish lefi then.
No.
The water's flowing. When do we say? When do we establish you say that the water is flowing and it's not going to cause?
I don't know. I don't know where that yisoid comes from.
But whatever that yisoid is, when you're cooking stuff, is the water is not considered flowing?
I get when it's dripping out of the wheat, so therefore it's flowing. See, before you use the lashon of bola, it's going to absorb it. So I'm not in the mitzias here. I'm not exactly sure what's going on, right? When we saw yesterday, right, if the chametz drips constantly on top of the flour, that also will make it that the flour will not make chametz, right? So it seems like when there's movement for whatever reason, right, it causes things to go like that, I guess.
So see, this is made Paris from the wheat that you cook, that you're working with.
Yes, it's the main Paris from the chametz.
Nothing should be a moitzi.
Nothing should be hamoitzi.
It's made Paris. It's being made with made Paris.
Well, the problem is that you're adding outside water. You're right. If you would use only the water from the wheat, I hear that. But normally you add water to flour.
Yeah,
right?
no, obviously, yeah, you add water, obviously. Okay.
So then you're right. You'd have to take it into account if you're trying, partial made Paris and partial water. Half. So then maybe you're right. I hear.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So clearly Rava's disagreeing with Abaya here because if Lefi Rava, right, made Paris is not machmetz, so then it doesn't make difference how many pieces you use, right? It's always made Paris. Right? Domar Abaya, hai chatzva da avushuna, right? If you have a chatzva like a pot, davshuna, that you use it to dry things up, to dry grains, schifa shari. If you turn it over, it's mutter, right? Because what's going to happen if you do it face down with the pot facing down, so then it's not going to accumulate, right? What's it called? Not going to accumulate. Schifa also, but if it's standing up, then it's a problem, right? Because meaning if you use the pot in the regular way, then the liquid that comes out is going to accumulate, and then it's going to make it chametz because it's going to stop moving. Rava Amar afilu skifa nami shari. It's mutter. Why? Because may Paris and machmitzin. Right? It doesn't make a difference. We don't care. May Paris is not machmitz. Right? So that's Then we said that May Paris, that's matzah shira, which this year is very negay because Erev Pesach shechal b'Shabbos, right? You'll use it in Shabbos. You use Shabbos because you don't want to use chametz, and this is not chametz, but we don't use it for matzah either. Fine. Ein loisesin sa'orin b'Pesach. You're not allowed to soak barley on Pesach. Vim losses nispaku And if you did, then nisbaku asuras. If it got cracked open, right, then it's also loy nisbaku mataras. But if they didn't break open, then they're going to be mutter. Meaning, if they crack open, then they're going to become chametz. If they don't crack, that means they're sealed. They're keeping it out. You could soak it in vinegar, and the vinegar actually stops it. Right? Vinegar, I guess, is sharp. So memela, it will stop the chametz. We're going to see a lot of that on this Amud, that vinegar has the strength to stop something from becoming chametz. Amar Shmuel, ain't halacha Rav Yossi. Shmuel says, no, the halacha is not like Rav Yossi. Amar Chista Amar Marokva. Isn't Shmuel always the one that's being reminded of Rav Yossi of things that he forgot? No, not Shmuel. I don't remember. Okay, whatever it is. Amar Rav Chista Amar Marokva. Loydis Baku Mamish doesn't mean that they actually have to break. Ela kol she'ilu manichan al pi chaves. If you would put it on the mouth of a barrel of wine, and then they'll crack by themselves, then that would be considered split, even if you don't see them split. The Shmuel Amar Nisbaku Mamish, no, they have to actually be broken open. Shmuel did this story, he did it like this in the Bar Choshu's house, Nisbaku Mamish, and he went with what he said, that it means it has to break, right? I mean, only the grains that break is it a problem. If it doesn't actually break, it's not a problem. Again, it's very hard for us to understand these Gemaras because we just don't put water anywhere near anything, any wheat, any flour, right? Nothing on Pesach. Although the one thing that is Negeya, right? I don't know if this is with a place to, but is flour that we buy in the stores, is that chametz gomer or not? Right? It's a big shot. Meaning those people that don't sell real chametz, can you just sell your flour to the guy, or you have to get rid of all your flour? Right? So the flour is washed. So some say that makes it into chametz gomer, and some say not. So that's the issue. Fine. So Amar Rava, Bal Nefesh lo yiltos. Rava says a Bal Nefesh should not soak and put any water in it. Now, what is a Bal Nefesh? Now, the reason why Bal Nefesh, the translation of a Bal Nefesh is very important, is because Ramosha in the Chuvas of Chol Yisrael says a Bal Nefesh should keep Chol Yisrael. So how do you define Bal Nefesh? Okay, so Rashi says a chassid.
Bal Nefesh means the same thing here and there?
Why not? I'm saying, why should a Bal Nefesh be different?
That's where Moshe would get the phrase from.
Yeah, l'chayra. No, David. It doesn't mean that if you don't soak barley on Pesach means you can't eat cholav. You can't eat cholav stam. I think the two are
No, I wasn't inferring that. I'm just saying that Bal Nefesh means the same thing by Rav Moshe and by the Gemara.
L'chayra, he's getting from that. But you see the Masaras Hashas? The Masaras Hashas says, Svarim Acherim in Rashi say, Yorei Shemayim hachored al nafshoy. Somebody who has Yirah Shemayim, and he's scared for his soul. Okay, that's a little bit different than a chassid. I don't know if that's higher or lower, but it's right. If you're scared for your soul, then
that's what they call them chaydim in Eretz Yisrael, no?
Yeah, right, exactly, right. That's a good point, right? So he's saying a Bal Nefesh. A Bal Nefesh is not okay. I don't know whatever you want to do with that, but that's a lot of times the place can use a lashon if they don't want to tell you it's osir. It's not osir. It's mutter. But you have the fruma, so you say that a Bal Nefesh should be machmer.
I have a feeling a lot of people learning the daf who've seen this Maseres Hashas will be starting to be mafin neder and cholos tam tomorrow.
You think because they're saying they're not Balei Nefesh?
Yeah, it's there's two things here. It's Yarei Shemayim and Charid al Nafshay. You can be a Yarei Shemayim who's not Charid al Nafshay. Charid al Nafshay is a secondary madrega.
Right. It's true, but okay, either one is a madrega. That's the bottom line, right? Yeah. So you say, listen, I'm not a Bal Nefesh, so why do I got to keep in a chanami?
I'll let you know if the sales of Chalav Yisrael products go up tomorrow.
That's very good. Yeah, fine. So my area Bal Nefesh, afilu kuli almanami. Why are you saying only a Baal Nefesh? Everybody should not soak it. The Hatanya ain't loises in Soirim but Pesach. You shouldn't soak barley and Pesach. No, Hachi Kamar. So this is what he meant to say. Right, this is what Rava said. Baal Nefesh afilu chitin teshriri lo yiltus. Even wheat that's hard, that you shouldn't soak it, because meaning if it's hard, l'chayr it's not going to become chametz. But even so, you should, Baal Nefesh shouldn't, but regular people can. Amalei Rav Nachman, man detzayis le Abba, whoever listens to Abba, but it doesn't mean it's his father. It's just the way of calling Rava. Achal namadi fusha. He's eating, you're eating spoiled bread, right? Decayed bread. Bei Rav Huna lasasi, because by Rav Huna they did do this. Ubei Rava bar Avin lasasi, and by Bei Rava bar Avin they also did it. But Rava Amar also liltos, and Rava said it's also too, right? So that's what he's saying. So you're gonna end up eating shvacha bread because you're not doing the proper process that normally gets done. Elahad Tanya, right? So this that it says ain't loises in Soirim Pesach, Soirim hu deloy hachut chiti shari. This that it says only barley you shouldn't soak. Mashma wheat you should. So then what's Rava saying that it's also too? No. So let me buy chitin. They don't have to tell you chitin. Even this beit Syria, since chitin has a tzir, it's like cuts in it. Aili behu maya, so the water will go into it. Avasari deshi, but barley which is smooth. Aim a shopper dummy, so I would say that maybe it's okay. Kamash Malan, that it's you're not allowed to soak barley, even though it's smooth and l'chayr it shouldn't be affected. Okay, Hadar Amar Rava, Mutta Liltos. Rava then changed his mind, right? And he said it is mutter to soak it. The Tanya Yaitze Bepas Nikiya Vahadra, you yaitze with clean bread Vahadra, and Hadra we said is not clean bread, the opposite, like whole wheat. Right? V'yesha nikiya b'lay l'sisa, and you can't make pas nikiya without soaking it. The way you make it, in order to remove all the junk, to make regular good flour, is to soak it to get rid of the junk. That's what it's saying. In order to make flour, you gotta wash out all the junk. So you see that clearly, if Rava is saying that you're allowed to have pas nikiya, right? If you're allowed to have pas nikiya, so then it's okay. Right? So obviously it was soaked. So wheat and flour from Goy shall kfarim taharim. If it's from the small cities, from villages, right, it's tar. V'shal krachim, but from cities it's tmein. Why? Because in the kfarim, they don't wash it, right? Meaning they're low level people. They're not the big city people, so they don't need chashav flour. So they don't wash it. So then it's going to be tar, right? Meaning, like we said, that in order to be machshir any food to become tummy, it needs to have liquid in it, right? So krachin tmein, and if it's but krachin do wash it, so then it doesn't mean they are tummy; they have the ability to become tummy, right? The kfarim my timer. What's the reason why cities not la mishum delaylos? To say, isn't it because they don't soak their stuff? The kakari lay silas, and you still call it silas, right? Meaning, so you see that it is possible to have fine flour. Silas is fine flour that wasn't pre-washed. Otherwise, how are you calling it silas from the kfarim? So Gemara answers to Guma Kimcha. No, that's going on flour. It's referring to flour, not silas as fine flour. Yeah, and you ask any kid, what's silas? It's not flour, it's fine flour, right? That's the way all the Rebbeim translate it. No, Dovi Langer, and the way they just silas is fine flour. No, that's the way, yeah. So basted the Nafik, after he left, right? Omar, they said, my time, right? Rav Papa said, my time, how come you didn't tell him this? The Omar of Zera, this next thing, the Omar of Zera, Shmuel, Chitin Shal Menachos, ain't licensed in Isam, but Korle Saris, Menachos is called silas for a korban mincha. That's where we get that lashon from. That's constantly where the Torah talks about silas, and you're not allowed to soak it. So Hadar Rava mitzvah liltos. Then Rava changed his mind and said, no, it's a mitzvah, right? It's now. So now he went from not allowing it to allowing it to saying that it's a mitzvah to do it. right? Shenemar, how do you know? Because it says a shmartem esamatzas, right? You should watch the matzahs. Eloi devay lusisa. If it doesn't need to be soaked, shimur lamai. What are you watching it from? Meaning, if you put the water on the wheat and on the flour, so of course you got to watch it to make sure it doesn't start becoming chametz, right? Ish shimur delisha, right? If it means to watch it from the kneading, KNEA, right? Shimur delisha lav shimuru. That's not a shimur, right? But right, Damar, how do we know that? Damar avhuna b'tzekel shel nachrim. If you could take the dough of goyim. Try this at home, right? Take the dough from goyim on Pesach by night, not much less, right? B'tzekel shel nachrim, adam amali kreisim, and you can fill up your stomach with the goyim's matzah. Ubevad sheyachol kazayis matzah b'achroina, as long as you eat a kazayis matzah at the end. Meaning, you got to make sure you do it kazayis. Meaning, what do you mean kazayis matzah? Kazayis matzah that was made lishma. Because the guy obviously to make his matzah l'shma. So the end kazayis, because you have to eat with the korban pesach when you're satisfied. So you need to do it. You need to eat a yid's matzah. So b'achroina in, b'rishayna loy. 1 second. This is b'achroina in. Let me just finish up. B'achroina in only means the last one b'rishayna loy, but not the first one, right? You're not yaitza with the guy's matzah. My time, because there was no shimur done. Right? Okay, so let him do shimur from baking it on, right? To make sure it doesn't become chametz. Then elalav shmamina shimur me korban. No, it means that you have to watch it from when you start adding in the water, right? Which is, by the way, not what we do. The machmirim do shmira mishas ketzira, right? This is the Gemara here seems to be only dealing with once you add water to it. That's not really negeya to us anymore. We do even shmira mishas ketzira, which is a chumrah, which is a big chumrah, right? What do you want to say, Gershon?
Which matzahs is he eating from the guy? Is mighty matzah?
It sounds like it.
And just the Afrikaiman has to be the Yiddish matzah?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Well, yeah, basically. Well, back then,
I was just going to say.
Did they do both back then? When they had a korban pesach, they just didn't eat the matzah together with the matzah.
Oh, with the korban pesach, there's no such thing as Afrikai. Yeah, but they had to take it with like hill.
Right, it was one thing. Now we're doing we're busy with all that. So l'chayra, that's yeah.
I don't think this Gemara is talking about bisman Abaya. After.
I don't know. So what's why ba'achroina?
When you wash and you have the thing. You don't have a sandwich right away. You have a kazayis matzah. Then you have a.
But that's not for the mitzvah. Just the Afrikaans for the mitzvahs. What's he saying?
Yeah. That's the raya from this Gemara, those poskim that hold that Afrikaiman's the ikr even today.
Okay.
No, but you mean that's... You mean he's
going with... the raya. The Machlokes the poskim today, whether the first...
Correct, that's true. I mean, in a chanami, you're right. You're right. If you go with the ones that hold that the Afrikaiman is the
Gemara would be the raya for that.
Yeah, I hear. Yeah. Okay. So Gemara says, "Umamai dilma shani hasan to beidin the nachas l'shimur loy avid l'shimur." When it needs shmira, and you didn't do it, so then it's no good. Aval heicha to beidin the nachas l'shimur avid l'shimur. But where it needs the shimur, then you did the shimur. Hey, hachanami the shimur delisha havi shimur. Then maybe the lisha is shimur, right? Meaning, when you have to start watching it, when you put the water into the flour, loyavat shimur, then you didn't do the shmira, right? Yeah, so it wasn't done properly. But heichad the be'inah the nachas l'shimur, right? But when it does decide to need shimur when you add the water, avil l'shimur, then he did shimur. So hachanami the shimur delisha avi shimur. So if that's the case, then when you watch it, you started watching it when you started kneading it, right? So then KN, right? Then then
I don't
that's when you
understand.
need the shimur.
I don't understand the Gemara's teretz. How the Gemara would be Machlokes now?
Well, I don't think the Gemara is giving a teretz. I mean, I guess it's a teretz, but
I'm sorry. How's the Gemara changing what it's saying? What it was saying before?
yeah. So no, what do you mean? Maybe you don't need only once it goes into a matzav of shimur, then that's when you need to watch it from when it's being needed, right? Meaning when is the shimur? Is the shimur when you're kneading it, right? When you're not growing, you with the when you're smashing up the flour with the water. Is that a shimur or not? Right? So we're saying that it means that once you put into the water, see Rashi says the mishas nesinas mayim lekemach shezed davar hamachametzes havi tzricha shimur v'zu loy nasa l'shimur mehi idna denachas l'tara shimur d'hanam nesinas mayim. Meaning saying even if you say that you need to watch it from when you start kneading it. I'm sorry if you're using all those lashonos, but that's right. But lamaisa, right when the water hits it, you're not gonna have shmira, right? So, right. So therefore, it's not going to be considered a good enough shmira. So then the Gemara says, "Vafilu hachi loy hadabei," and even so, right? Even though it's seemingly the Gemara is slugging him up, he was not chayzer. The Amar lahu, because with the lahanu the mahafki kipi, he said to the people that were mahapach the kipi, they were what do you do with the grains in the field? You turn them over so they dry out, right? Or to wrap them up. Ki mafchisu hafichu l'shum mitzvah. When you're flipping them over, you should do it l'shem mitzvah. Right? Meaning, don't put it on to make sure no water touches it. And so what do you see? Rava holds that you need a shmira from the beginning to the end. Right? So that's what we try and do when we call matzahs shmura matzahs from when it's harvested. Fine.
Is this the earliest makor for shmartinas mitzvahs?
As earlier,
shmartinas matzahs doesn't mean l'shem matzah. I mean, it doesn't mean l'shem mitzvah. It means l'shem matzah. You have to make sure that the general, what Rava was talking about until now, was making sure that it's not machmitz. Now he's saying that hafichu l'shem mitzvah. That's not l'shem matzah. That's the shmartinas mitzvahs.
Right. We mean that this is.
It's a different type.
I don't understand what you're saying.
What?
Yeah.
He switched the type. Before he was saying it means the shmartinas matzahs. You have to do a shmira, so it's not machmetz. It doesn't become chametz. Here, the lashon that he used is hafichu l'shum mitzvah, not l'shum matzah. He switched the type of those words, the shmartinas matzahs to shmartinas mitzvahs.
Well, I don't know what is he basing it on that pasuk? Who says he's basing it on that pasuk?
The Gemara is saying he's basing it on that pasuk. Because the Gemara is saying he wasn't chayzer. His original line was that the reason it needs shimur, the reason you're mechuyev to do l'sisa is the shmartinas matzahs. Yeah, that needs shimur, so it remains not chametz. It doesn't become chametz.
Right.
And now the Gemara is saying that how do we know that he was loy hadar? He wasn't chayzer because of this ma'isa. And this ma'isa was a fichu l'shem mitzvah, not l'shem shmira.
Right.
He's using both at the same time.
I hear. Okay, but I don't see why he can't. I mean, it's a play on words either way.
No, it's just
shmira.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Also, why do we not paskin like Rava? Rava's the basra. We always paskin like Rava.
And which one of the Ravas?
This Rava, the Rava that says we need to do l'sisa. Mitzvah l'sasam.
I don't know. I think the whole mitzvah has changed already. Bisman hazeh. I don't know how.
That's why all our wheat is washed. So, not soaked, but washed. To make it softer, to grind.
Right.
And except the Pesach one. That they don't wash.
Correct. But I think that's because we don't know. I think because nowadays we don't know this whole zah.
That's the whole Ibdikia business.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I didn't have a chance to look into it to the halach l'maisa how we got to it, but hopefully tonight maybe I'll try and we're gonna see what the halach l'maisa was. Okay, so weiter. Mar brei de Ravina. Menaktale eme ba'arbe. So his mother put away the chametz, the wheat in a what do you call it? In a RV. RV could mean a boat. It means like a pot or whatever it is.
Bucket.
Yeah. What do you say? A bucket?
A bucket. Buckets.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, a bucket. Right. It's in order to protect it. Fine. How Arva? There was a boat.
This is the first case of Tupperware.
Okay, very good. So who Arba the Chiti? There was a boat that had wheat on it, the Tava the Bechishta, and it sank in the Chishta, in the name of a water called Chishta. Shai Rava Lazvuni Lenachrim. Rava allowed it to be sold to Goyim. Say Rava by Levi, Rava, Beged Rava by Klayim. If you have a Beged that there's Klayim in it, but you don't know where it is, Hareza Loim Kureno Lenachri, don't sell it to a Goy. Velo Yase by Mardas. And don't make a saddle out of it, lechamor. Right? But you could use tachrikim for the mace. Right? So why? Because we're afraid that why can't you do these things? Because we're afraid he's going to go sell it to a yid. Right? So the nachri my time so right, isn't it already afraid that he's going to sell it to a yid? Right? So now here too, how come you could sell all this chametz that got wet because we're afraid it became chametz? No. And can you wait 10 minutes? Thank you. Sorry. Isn't it? Why aren't we afraid that you could sell it to Yisrael? So here too, the chametz we're afraid to sell to Yisrael. So Zvinu kava kava Yisrael. No, what he has to do is he has to sell one kava at a time to Yisrael. So that it gets used up before Pesach. Meaning, don't sell anything in bulk. Just sell it in small amounts. Now, all of a sudden, he changed that. He said sell it to a guy. Now the Gemara says sell it to a yid. So it's not so clear. He means even to a yid you could sell in small amounts, and a guy also. Or you shouldn't sell it to a guy because how do you know the guy is going to sell it in small amounts, right? Okay, so that's a shaila. I had to learn that. You can't. We had this before. You can't add flour to a kedera, to a pot of food on Pesach, right? But if you do want to, first put the flour, and then put vinegar, like we had on Amud Aleph. Right, because the vinegar is going to make it cook faster, and then memela, it's not going to become chametz. Right, again, this is going back.
Don't try this at home.
Do not correct. Do not. And if you do try it at home, make sure there's no females anywhere near in the vicinity. Right, but yes, but like we said, vinegar has like a straw, even though we said before that vinegar actually causes the chimutz to stop. Here it's a different story. Here the chimutz is making the food cook faster. Now, if it cooks faster, it's going to cook the flour before it becomes chametz. You don't have to put the wheat first. You can put the vinegar first and then put the flour. Right? So man yeshayim. Who's the yeshayim? It's Rabbi Yehuda the Tan. The Tanan, and we had this in Shabbos, right? From the more famous things in Shabbos, say ilfus v'kedera she'rirum resachin. If you have a pot or two different types of pots that you remove them from the fire when they're hot, you can't put spices into them. But you can put the spices into a ka'ara, which is a plate, which is a klisheni, right? Because you take it from the pot, put it into the ka'ara. Or to the serving plate, right? Which meaning they're both klisheni. Rabbi Yehuda says you could put it into everything, right? He doesn't care. You could put it into any. You could put any type of spices in to a klisheni chutz midavar sheyesh bechametz v'tzir, except if it has vinegar in it. Why? Because obviously vinegar in a cliche, normally cliche doesn't cook. That's what the Tanna Kama says. Yehuda says, agreed. But if you put vinegar in it, right, then that's going to make the cliche cook. So Mamela, that's why you're not allowed to add things to it. So that's why we think it's Rabbi Yehuda.
Is that because it makes it cook, or because it's kavush, because it's chametz?
No, I thought it makes it cook faster. Otherwise, what's the raya?
I know, but we hold that chametz is gonna be kavish in a much shorter time. You don't need 24 hours.
Oh, I know. I thought it was cooking. You want to say it's kavush because it...
I'm asking to you. The Gemara is mashma that it's about cooking, but Lamaisa we hold that kavush is a maximum of 18 minutes with chametz.
Right, I hear. So okay, so v'nukvik Rabbi Yaisi. Why don't we say it's Rabbi Yaisi? The Tan Rabbi Yaisi, I'm a sharim b'chametz. He says you're allowed to soak it in vinegar. V'chametz tzayim, sound like we had on Amud Aleph, right? We say, why don't you say that way? So Gemara answers, Ki Shmira Leila Rabbi Yaisi. When the Rabbi Yaisi says in Hani Mili Ise Be'ene, that's only if you have pure vinegar. It's in front of you, the vinegar. Aval al yedei taruvas loy. But once you mix the vinegar in with other things, then it doesn't work. Right, so there's nothing to learn out like that. Ula Amar echad zeh v'echad zeh aser. Ula said they're both aser. Mishum lech amrina nazira schar lekamar leisikrav. This is used in Avodah Zarah a lot, in the Masechta Avodah Zarah. It says go around. Tell the Nazir go around. Meaning a Nazir can go into a vineyard. There's nothing wrong with him going to a vineyard, but it's not a smart thing to do because he's not allowed to eat grapes, right? So you tell him, go around, go around the vineyard, don't go inside it, right? Which is always a lashon that the Gemara uses to tell people, stay away from things that are also to you. The Gemara, their place can use it when it talks about seeing preachers, going to preachers, different places, and that type of thing, right? So I have a fond memory of this because when I learned about the Zaros, everybody's asking in yeshiva, schar. Why double lashon, go around and around? Schar is the Aramaic of saviv. Saviv is the Hebrew word. It's always schar for whatever reason Aramaic. That's the translation of go around. Go around and don't go inside. Rapapa shari the burdiki the bereish galusa. Rapapa allowed the bakers from the Reish Galusa lemamcha kedera b'chasisi to put the flour with, but not regular flour. Take not flour, grain, wheat that was dried out, because then it's not going to become chametz. So Amar Rava, are you going to allow something like that where there's avodim, right? They're going to be mezalzel in it. Then Rashi says they're going to be mezalzel. They don't keep halacha. So you're telling them to use a specific type of grain. They're not gonna do this, which is right there the line. Is
this like Pesach program line?
That's his anti-Pesach programs, anti-restaurants, bichlal, right? What are you telling halacha to goyim? How you can't explain that to them, right? That's the most common thing with cleaning ladies. Cleaning ladies, you tell them, yeah, you could cook this, you can't cook that. No, just don't tell them not to cook, right? I had a lady today who asked the cleaning lady turned on the fire herself and cooked food herself, but the frum lady was in the kitchen with her. She says, I was in the kitchen with her. I said, what should I tell you? It's bishalakum. Unless you were involved with the cooking, you just because you were standing there doesn't help, right? You can't whatever it is that they don't know the halacha. Okay, so that's what he was saying. Rava gufa machila kedera b'chasisa. Rava himself would do it. He didn't. So there was no meaning. Rava says, how can you tell a guy to do it? But say, so the Igadami says, no, you're right. Rava himself actually went to do it. Put his money where his mouth is. To use that phrase. Fine. Zog the Mishna. Ain't nice and chemical charoses or charoses. You're not allowed to put flour to charoses or chardal or to mustard, right? Because they're sharp, right? Charoses is sharp, chardal is sharp. I don't know, charoses nowadays is not sharp, but chardal is sharp. In Nasan.
And I thought mustard we're not allowed. Mustard we don't eat.
Right, but that's also minig of that's the minig kitnius. That gets back to a few days ago, David, right? Like where did that come from? But
it's a bean, no?
Who?
It's a bean.
Well, that's what I don't know. They're chayshed that it looks. I don't know. I don't know
I
where.
thought,
I
isn't
can't
a bean?
understand.
What is a bean chametz? Isn't a bean?
No, but
chametz?
it's a seed. Doesn't it come from a seed?
I thought it was a
Yeah,
bean.
mustard seed. No, that's what kitnius is.
I thought it was a bean.
Anything with seeds. That's always the big tumbles with seeds because they're very small. They look like flour. So yeah. But anyways.
But see, but Yaakov, to go back to days of yesteryear, when I was, everybody's, they used cornbread. People used to like cornbread rather than rye bread. I don't know how much flour was rye and how much was corn, but yeah, my mother always liked cornbread better than rye bread.
I hear. So then you're saying corn. That's more of a reason to ask for corn.
Yeah,
I hear that. Okay, so noch einmal the Mishnah. Ain't nice and camel charoses or the chardo. You can't put camel into charoses or chardo. And if you did, what do? Yoichel miyad. You eat it right away before it becomes chametz. Dry. You say, oh, don't they make this mixture? But if you did it, eat it quickly. Chaparine and eat it. Right. That's a risky endeavor if I ever heard one. Right.
It's the first fast food.
What?
Fast food. It's the first reference to fast food.
That's
true. It would be a chiyuv. You're not allowed to let it become chametz. That would be an Easter karis.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Well, it'll be karis if you eat it. It'll only be karis if you eat it, not to have it.
Oh, okay, so it would be a lot.
But right now, not going to be nothing to be. But you're right. But according to that, the Mishna should say you have to eat it. It doesn't say that. It says you should eat it.
Gershon, they could have it's a fundraising contest on Chalamoid. How quick could you eat that? And give the money.
He translates it here.
Give
It
the
must
money
be.
to the stalker.
Oh, he says it must be eaten.
It must be eaten immediately. Is the way he translates the English.
Yeah.
Okay. I hear. Okay, very good.
It's one of those things. If you use flour, it's not
What?
so hard to do. It's a mistake. It's one of those mistakes. It's easy to make. You're not allowed to do it, but if you do it, because it's a mistake you can make, and you remember, you're going to be out, eat immediately.
Right. Okay, so good for Rameir. So Rameir says it's awesome. Fine. Ein mevashlin is a pesach. Meaning he says you can't. Meaning he says also not also to mix it. Everybody holds that you shouldn't mix it. Rameir is saying if it got mixed in, do not eat it, because it could be it'll become chametz so fast that it's going to become chametz before you even get into your mouth. Fine. Ein mevashlin is a pesach. You can't cook the korban pesach not in liquids, like mashkin, like may paris. But you are allowed to a rub, right? Parrots, you're allowed to put a rub on there, or toivel it and to dip it in. May tashmisha shel nachtaim, the water that a baker uses, right? Rashi says that his hands get hot, so he dunks his hands into cold water, sort of like what you do with an ice cream scooper when you're trying, not for the same reason, but sort of you dunk it into water. Then and then you should pour it out, because the mice said there's flour in that water and it sits in there for a long time because there's flour on the baker's hands. It sits in there for a long time. Fine. Amar Rav Kahana, the whole Machlokes between Rameh and Tanakama is putting it to mustard. Everybody holds that you have to burn it right away. Right? Meaning the whole Machlokes is by chardal, but by charoses, no. You can't put the vinegar into you can't put the wheat into charoses. You have to burn it right away. But into mustard, you burn it right away, and the Chum say no, you could eat it. You should eat it right away. The Allah is like the Chum. Amalei Rav Nachman Yitzul Rav Huna Brei Rav Yehuda. Acharoses Kamar Mar, Ayachardo Kamar. Are you talking about charoses or are you talking about mustard? Amalei Lamai Nafkamina. What's the difference? So we say no. Look at the Rav Kahana, like Rav Kahana. The Rav Kahana Machlokes is a Achardo. Amalei Secha charoses. They will call Yisar Miyad. Right? Everybody holds Yisar Miyad. Amalei Lo Shmira Klemer Lo Sfira. He says, I didn't never heard of it, and what that means is not that he never heard of it. It means Lo Sfirali, right? He says I don't hold of what he said, and meaning the Machlokes is in both cases. Amar Rav Ashi Kavasei Rav Kahana Mistavra. it's mistaber like Rav Kahana. Midamar Shmuel ain't halacha Rav Yosi. When the Shmuel says halacha is not like Rav Yosi, my love, it's musa who deloit somis. It doesn't stop it. The vinegar doesn't stop the chimutz hachemui mechama, but it does. Meaning it's I'm sorry. It stops the grains from blowing up, but it does make it into chametz. No, so Gemara says loy. No, dilma loy mitzamis tzamis. It doesn't stop the blowing up of it. Veloy chamua mechama, and it doesn't make chametz either. So meaning it's just totally, the charoses is totally neutral. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna stop here because my throat is a little dry and a little out. And so I guess between tomorrow, Bez Hashem, and Matzah Shabbos, we'll catch up.
What time tomorrow?
Tomorrow, I guess 3:45, right? The Lichbench is 4:20.
Yeah.
Right? For later. 4:20.
What time tomorrow? What time?
Let's do a 3:45. Yeah.
Quarter to 4, right?
3:45. Yeah.
Or we don't have to be sober.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah, Parrots, okay. So you're good, Parrots. You're good to go tomorrow.
Good to go.
Oh, my feet are folded under me, man. Let me tell you. Sheesh. Yeah. All right. I got to hang up now. Fine, good enough.
All right, take it to Nacht. Go ahead.